Welcome to my Hebrew channel, Mila Baraika. I'm looking at the series of studies. I'm doing a series of videos on the Silver Scroll. That's the little scroll that was found at Ketev Hinan in Jerusalem. And to understand what has happened or the placement of this scroll, why it was found in its place that it was found, we have to review a little bit of the burial practices. And basically, in the ancients, they practiced what was known as, or what is known as, primary and secondary burial. In other words, primary burial, person has died, you place that person in a tomb, the person stays there for 2 or 3 or 4 years, whatever it takes for all the soft tissues of the body to decompose or be consumed, or bacterial action, whatever it takes to reduce the whole thing just to a simple skeleton. And then all those bones are gathered into a secondary burial. So that's primary and secondary burial. So those bones then are gathered, so gathered to the fathers. All the fathers are together in one place. All of their bones are together in one section of the tomb, and that's where everything is gathered, including a lot of the little gifts and a lot of amulets and a lot of little things that accompany the bodies. They're also swept into that place. So when the person dies, they receive all kinds of little things to wish them well on their way, and then later on, when 3 or 4 years later the space is needed for something, so another body, they take everything that's left there, pull it into the secondary burial. So burial chambers in ancient times had very much 2 chambers. If you think this is a practice that was just of the ancients, the place I live in Mexico practices basically the same sort of thing. You have primary burial, often in a casket, and then once that person has decayed all the way into bones, the bones are gathered and then they're placed into secondary burial. Sometimes they're just left scattered in that part of the secondary burial. Often they're placed into a metal box and kept in that way. So yeah, primary and secondary burial. So that's what we're going to look at today, based on some readings out of the scriptures. Start with 1 Kings 13:29. This is the last part of quite a tragic story of Ish HaElohim, a man of God who had been sent by God, by Jehovah, to prophesy against Jeroboam for the idolatry that he was committing at Bethel. So it's not a, if you look on the map, it's basically kind of a long day's walk from Jerusalem all the way up to Bethel. And he brings prophecy. Then the king invites him to stay. He says, no, I can't stay, because if I stay, tragic things will happen. So he refuses to stay for lunch, and so he hikes, but he doesn't take the same path back. He takes another path, and the sons of an old prophet see him go on the different path and say, oh, the prophet went down there. Well, on the way back, a lion attacks this Ish Elohim, very obviously a lion sent by God, because the lion attacks the man, kills him, and then stands beside the body. So the passers-by see this and they go, hey, it's kind of unusual. A lion has attacked this person. And then the elderly man goes, oh no. So he heads on down, and he's apparently sent the man on the way with a hamor, with a donkey. And then so he takes the man of God, the man who had come to bring the message of God to Jeroboam. He places him on the donkey, brings him back to his own town, probably Bethel, and there buries him. And then so we'll get into the burial sequence here of the Ish HaElohim. So at this point in 1 Kings 13:29, I invite you to have an English Bible beside you when we look at this. At this point, they've come and found the body, and there's an interesting way of talking about the body. We'll get into that. Yesha, and then he lifted up Hanabi, that is the prophet. This is the subject of this verb right here. The prophet lifted up et Nibalat. Now this is Nibalat, that is the body. Nibalat's an interesting term because we also use it for what would be a leather water flask. In other words, something that's can inflate. And incidentally, Nibal, the way to remember it, if you want your mnemonic, Nabal, who was the husband of Abigail, he was a fool. Why, he was inflated. In other words, he was a soft guy, probably somewhat overextended. In other words, a large inflated personage. And so the inflated part of the body, okay, et nebalat, that is the soft inflated part of the body that looks like a leather flask of water. So et nebalat, ish ha'elohim, man of God, of course here, ve va ya nichelhu, and then he rested him. So this is a nunchet root, and it's interesting. You find nunchet, you find it 3 times in Psalm 23. You find it all over the place, and it's basically a Noah word. In other words, when God wanted rest on the earth from all of the sound and sinfulness was happening, he said, Noah, the man of rest, to build an ark. And then, of course, after the earth was destroyed, Jehovah had his rest from all of that noise, from all these people partying all the time. So, so this is va ya nichehu, and then he rested him. He placed him. He draped him. El hahamor, okay, on the donkey. Hamor, very clear a word for donkey, burro, as you would say in Mexico. Ve yishvehu, shivehu, and then he returned him. Okay, so that's coming back. Okay, so he returned him. So they're heading on back to the city of the prophet, of the old prophet, right here. So he returned him, and then he came towards the city, Ha'ir, al-Ha'ir. Hanabi, of the prophet, Hasakan, of the old prophet. So this old prophet is now really feeling very sad, very sorrowful for what had happened to the Ish Elohim. Wow, he had lied to him. He says, no, the Lord spoke to me. Come on back. Let's have a meal together. Let's have a good chat, and so forth. Hospitality is very important, but if you're gaining your hospitality via a nasty lie, not so good, because the Lord can send a lion along the way. So, so this is the prophet Hazakan, the old prophet, in the city of the old prophet. Le shephod, in order to mourn or to weep over, to mourn. Le, so these are both nominative purposes in front of infinitives here, to mourn and to bury. So le kevro, and to bury him. So this last infinitive that has a suffix pronoun on the end, burying him, and this person then is, of course, the Ish HaElohim is being buried here. So I have a little bit of a photo of a tomb right here. This is from the Ketev Hinnon area. And so you'll have an entryway, and then you'll have a primary and a secondary burial spot. At least in this tomb, it's laid out one on top of the other. Sometimes it's on top on one side, and then in the middle of the floor in front of it. So, in this case, the primary burial is on the top, and the secondary burial is on the bottom. Here's a side view of that, and so the top, Nibalat, and this is the Nibalat, the body, the soft part, okay, the water-filled sack is up here. Va ya nach. This is, and he rested at Nibalot, his body, okay, his Nibalot, the body. Bekevro, in his tomb, okay, and the tomb is the whole thing, okay, everything, but this would be the part of the tomb that would be used for the body. It even has many of them had a pillow headrest for where to place the bodies. Va yish fedu, and then he mourned Ali over him, and he mourned over him. And what was the mourning about? It was hoi ahiv. Now I have an ancient form of the hay right here, and it's a man with his hands stretched out. So this is exclamatory, and it's probably based very much on what was being proclaimed there. Hi, 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 like this, okay, with the hands out and all kinds of noise. And yeah, ancient and even modern. I've been at some funerals where you have professional mourners, and it gets pretty noisy. So, hoi. Oh, my brother. At this point, he's calling my brother. He really should have thought about that before. but no, my brother, he's been killed. And so, Vayhi Acher Kebro Oto Vayomer El Banav Lemor Moti U Kerebetem Oti Bekerev Asher Ish Haelohim Kebru Bo Etzel Etzmot Vehenehu Et Esmotai. We have a very interesting passage here, very interesting petition on the part of the old prophet, the Nabi Zakan. So, and then he said, and then when it happens, and when it so happens, acher, afterwards, kevro, that he had buried him, oto, him, and this is incidentally the suffix pronoun are on the end of both of these, but it's just simply they had buried the man of God. So kevro, oto, they had buried him. Yomer, and then he said, El, towards Banav, to his sons, Lemor, saying, Be moti, at my death. Okay, be moti, at my death. So again, very much a preposition. This is not purpose, but just when. Okay, this is in or when. Be moti, when I die. Be moti, at my death. Who kerabatem, and then you bury. Okay, oti. When you bury me, okay, here he had buried him, oto, him, and here's oti, when you buried me, bekerev, in the tomb, asher, where, ish ha'elohim, where the man of God is, kebru, has been buried, okay, bo, in it, etzel, beside, ashmotav, beside his bones, okay, ashmotav, this will be, his bones will be down here then, ha-nihu, make me to rest, okay, you make the bones rest, okay, et ashmati, make his bones rest with my bones, okay, so beside his bones, make to rest my bones, okay, that's a petition then that this Nabi Zakan makes to his sons. Place my bones with his bones, put them here in secondary burial, and put those bones together. He wanted to spend eternity together with the man of God. So this is Ezekiel. It's a very interesting prophecy, very interesting affirmation that we have here in regard to the Asmot. Okay, the Asmot here are the bones. So very famous prophecy or vision actually of Ezekiel. Koamar thus says Adonai, and here you have the Tetragrammaton, and the original rule would say Adonai, Adonai. Okay, but no, you're not going to repeat Adonai here for Yehovah. You're going to use Elohim, and that's why you have the vowel pointing here of the two, the Shavach Hidik. Okay, so Koamar Adonai, Elohim Adonai Yehovah, le'ashmot, to the bones, ha'ela, these bones, hine ani, hey, I, maybe I will bring behem, to you, ruach, a spirit, hayatim, to your the spirit of life to them. Okay, so to you. And so second person's on the end here. So maybe behem, ruach, I'll bring to you life, spirit of life. And as I said, a very, very interesting prophecy on the part of Isaiah or Ezekiel. Ezekiel is saying these ashmot, these bones that are here, dried out, without life, the Spirit of God will come on them and restore them to life. What a beautiful promise, all the way from the Old Testament, that at some point those old dry bones of ours will receive the Spirit of life, come upon us and restore us to life. And most certainly a tremendous prophecy or tremendous promise also of the resurrection that we have in Jesus our Savior. So God bless, and may you truly. And incidentally, in the tomb, this is where the scroll was found, right here at the bottom, Ketev Hinnom.